Facebook Live, man, I haven't been on here for a while. I'm a little nervous right now. I'm guessing I don't need this mask on, right? Right. Happy New Year, y'all. 2021. It's a new year. Reminds me of when a kid turns 18 years old, they say, I'm an adult now, I'm mature. No, you can just go to jail. You're really not mature yet. So 2021 is just an extension of 2020 at this point in time. Hopefully, though, we don't have the craziness that we had last year. Speaking of 2020, it's my 1 year anniversary. 1 year anniversary of no alcohol. Ha! How about that? I did Sober 2020. Now, what I want to do today is give you a little recap on how that went. And some background. The why of Sober 2020. Well, first of all, 1 year ago yesterday is when I decided to basically do 10 days, 2 weeks of no alcohol. That led into 30 days. Dry January, 30-day alcohol experiment. And it came from reading this book, This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. Amazing book. A lot of science in there. But she also did the 30-day alcohol experiment, which is something that I tried. And I didn't last 10 days until I decided to do 1 year of that. And the reason I did that was because on day number 10, I actually went to a party, and one of the biggest challenges people have when they decide to take some time off from drinking is, what am I going to do? Will I have fun? So I went to this party that I typically would be drinking at, and I didn't drink. And I had a blast. I have fun watching drunk people. But no, seriously. The next morning I got up, and I thought to myself, well, I made it 10 days. I don't feel bad today. I feel really good. I have no need to drink. So I decided to do Sober 2020. And the other reason I did that was because of my son Marcus. Marcus passed away. It'll be 6 years in May. And Marcus went a year without drinking. He did a year sobriety, which pretty big deal. So I thought to myself, well, let me try this. Let me do this also. But the other thing was he actually started drinking again at midnight when the year was up. So he stopped December 31st at midnight, started again December 31st at midnight. So in my mind, I'm like, why did you stop? Why did you stop and start? And I can't ask him that now, obviously, because he's not here. So I wanted to try it myself to see what, I went through, what I could go through, and it was a year of self-discovery for real. I really enjoyed it, and I'm very happy that I wasn't drinking during lockdown, because it would be so easy to say, hey, it's noon, I'm locked down, let's drink. But no, Sober 2020, I went a year, and what I discovered was I tried to figure out, why did I drink, period. It became a habit to me to drink. I started drinking not just at social functions, but I drink every night, some beer, maybe some wine. And it became an issue with me. But also, I wanted to know what caused me to drink. So what I figured out was there was an underlying depression that I was dealing with. I was depressed, and I had been depressed for many years. I masked it, I hid it, and then I self-medicated with alcohol. The question, though, I had was, what came first, the alcohol or the depression? That's I couldn't figure that out. Then I remembered, well, I was depressed as a teenager. I mean, we all have teenage angst and all that, but I was depressed as a young teenager, and it just carried over into adult life. And then, you know, you get to the point where I just want to numb myself on a regular basis. So that was my why for drinking, other than having fun and partying with people. I mean, obviously that was enjoyable, but I figured out on day 10 that that wasn't necessary. The other thing in my mind was like, can I actually golf and not drink? Because those two things go together. Do I really like golfing, or do I just like drinking? You know, so I went golfing this summer, and I really, well, I say I enjoyed golfing. I enjoyed golfing, not drinking, as much as you can enjoy golfing when you suck ass at it. But I did. So those were things that I had to overcome. But the depression part was interesting to me because in my mind, I've never asked why Marcus died. In my mind, I've never said, why'd that happen? You know, but now I'm like, why did that happen? And he's not here for me to ask him, but I have to make some assumptions because I know what I go through as far as depression goes and what I've been through. And the other side of depression is pretty amazing. I found myself throughout this past year stopping like, damn, this is what the other side of depression looks like. And obviously, self-medicating with alcohol does not help anything because it's a depressant, obviously. So it becomes a vicious cycle. So, and people ask me all the time, so what are you going to do when Sober 2020 is over, which is interesting. I have no intention of drinking and never have. I have no desire to drink. The desire just literally disappeared. It's like what I read in this book, Spontaneous Sobriety. I personally believe I experienced that. I'm not saying everybody will or can, but it's something that I did. You know, I experienced that. But I also now have to figure out what's next because as my good friend Joe Walker taught me a few years ago about goals, this is a milestone. This wasn't a goal for me. This was a milestone. This was something that I knew I was going to do it, but I knew there was also something after that, which leads to the question people ask me, you know, like, are you going to drink again? I don't know. I don't have plans to, but what is next? Well, what's next is we're in a mental health crisis currently, and I don't know how long this has been going on, but I'm guessing it's been going on for a while, but this past year has been crazy, and it's driving people to that place. And it literally has pissed me off to the point to where my feeling last year, I wanted to do the year of mindfulness also. But I got to a point where I literally felt helpless, like I couldn't do anything about what all was going on. The only thing I could do was make sure that I came out the other side with at least some level of sanity. You know, but I felt literally helpless and I couldn't do anything about it. And I know there's people that are suffering worse from depression now than they did before. You know, I'll say this right now. I know somebody out there that's listening. Talk to somebody, call somebody, you know, call a professional. I know it feels weird. It makes you feel weak, especially men. Men don't deal with depression very well. But call somebody and talk to them if you're suffering from depression, if you feel depressed, because a lot of us do, you know. And I'm telling you, the other side is much better. But I wanted to deal with the helpless feeling that I had. And I happened to work for a mental health practice agency, counseling business. I don't know what we are going to call it now. Mayor's Cares Counseling. And this is not an ad for them. But I don't do counseling, I do the billing. That's why they call me Bill the Biller. So some of you have probably gotten texts from me before, not knowing it was me, but I wanted to take my game up a little further. So I started the training to become a peer support specialist. And I'm just on the other side of taking the classes, but I decided to step that up a little bit and get my CDCA, which is Chemical Dependency Counseling Assistant. I don't even know what it is. But that is my way of giving back because I personally believe that my experience in life should be shared with other people that maybe could benefit them. I don't like the word help, but it could be a benefit to them, because I know over these past 2 years I've needed other people's help to get through certain things. You know, so that's my what's next as far as my life goes. Sober 2021, I'm not going to call it that, but it's probably going to be what it's going to be. But the certification that I'm going to get, and hopefully I'll be able to share my experience with other people, and they can get a benefit out of it, because I think it's very important. I think mental health is very important, especially at this point in time. But anyway, I wanted to share that with everybody because I made it a year. I know people were like, "Oh hell, he's not going to make it." It wasn't really hard for me at all, honestly. But I had true intent from the very beginning. I also think the piece about attaching Marcus to it and trying to figure out possibly what he was thinking during that year of sobriety, and what he was thinking about when he decided to drink again, because it just doesn't compute with me. But I'm wondering myself at this point in time, and I'm speculating, that he didn't suffer from depression throughout that period. And that bothers me, because I don't feel like, you know, I didn't ask him, "How you feeling?" Well, part of the reason I didn't ask him how he's feeling, because it's similar to the question you ask when you pick a kid up from junior high in front of Mount Logan School, and you're driving down Main Street and you say, "What'd you have for lunch?" "I don't know." "You have any homework?" "I don't know." So I just assumed that if I said, "How you doing?" I'm all right, that he'd say that. But anyway, it bothers me that I didn't do anything about it if there was something to be done. So now I can do something about it. Take care of myself and see if there's anybody out there that my experience can benefit. So Sober 2020 is over. I made it. There should be like confetti going up right now or something like that. I made it, and I feel, I don't feel like the same person at this point in time. So anyway, I wanted to share that with y'all. Hopefully you're enjoying the new year, and that each of us can be more mindful. Just be more mindful of what's going on around you. Pay attention to other people if they're lonely, if they need help, because a lot of people do right now. A lot of people are confused and lonely. So that's it. I'm out of here. Peace.